A very good afternoon to all of you. Hope you have all been safe and well. Thank you for joining us today for this very special dialogue. This is being convened by the Army Public School Dhaula Kuan in New Delhi and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, in support of UNODC's Education for Justice initiative. I call this dialogue special because of three reasons. One, because it is being held during COVID-19, which is the most pressing global challenge that the world has seen. Two, because it commemorates the global week for the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, which is being celebrated across the world. And three, because it is completely student and educators-driven initiative, which is a need of the hour. It is really great to see schools, educators, young people taking the lead to strengthen peace and unity through actions and dialogue as we build back better from COVID-19. UNODC stands in support of such initiatives under our Global Education for Justice program. Through this, we have been actively engaging with schools as well as universities. We have developed a range of interactive, peer-reviewed, and easy-to-use educational material that may be used by teachers and students to get a sense and develop an understanding of peace, the rule of law, and the SDGs, especially SDG 16. And the focus is on strengthening values-based education, activity-based learning, and youth-led efforts on such topics. In response to COVID-19, we also initiated the Lockdown Learners Initiative, which strengthens youth action on peace, the Sustainable Development Goals, and justice through education. And these are free of cost interactive dialogues on critical issues that affect all of us in the social space, bridging gender and socio-economic divides. And our collaboration with the Army Public School Dhaula Kuan in New Delhi has been testimony to how impactful these engagements are. For instance, over the past few months, students have reflected on the impact of COVID-19 on the various SDGs. They have also used their skills and talents to create blogs, videos, artwork to promote awareness and ideate solutions. Under the leadership of the school principal, Ms. Komal Sood, APS Dhaula Kuan has been one of the leading schools that has spearheaded programs to inculcate a culture of lawfulness and values among youth to help them become more aware, responsible, and proactive citizens who are catalysts for social change. So today, as a very unique initiative, we will be hearing directly from these young stars at APS Dhaula Kuan on their thoughts on the SDGs and how they aim at strengthening peace through their efforts. We are joined today by Sakshi, Sparsh, Rohan, Neelanjan, Priya, and Pritika, and Ms. Harleen Kaur, who is a committed educator at the school. I'm Samarth from UNODC, and I'll be moderating this discussion. So without ado, let's begin this interactive dialogue. My first question to the panel is, as young people and educators, what do SDGs mean to you? And what inspires you to act for the goals, especially SDG 16, to promote peace in the society?
In a nutshell, they mean everything for me. Sole reason for this is that I have understood that life can only thrive if we follow these SDGs. The very fact that contributing my bit towards the SDGs could give a better life to millions of people around the globe is my biggest inspiration. SDG 16 aims at peace, justice, and strong institutions. It is a very important SDG because it aims to give every global citizen basic rights. Following SDG 16 saves innumerable lives, which gives me the inspiration to abide by it. In my view, just a small step such as promoting inclusion for the people of different ethnic origins, religions, and opinion can be a major step towards maintaining global peace, and not following the SDG 16 will lead to human rights violations, armed violations, and would be the destruction of mankind.
I completely agree with what Rohan said. According to me, we, the young people, are the biggest stakeholders in the successful implementation of the SDGs, as these are essentially meant to secure the future generations. And SDG 16 is more relevant today than ever before because of the rising intolerance and extremism threatening peace and tranquility of the society in general and nations and continents at large.
If I would like to piggyback off of what Sakshi said, to me, I think as a young person, my name is Priya Gokhale, by the way. I'm a student of Army Public School, Dhaula Kuan. And to me, as a young person, SDGs and just working for them right now is a way to secure my own future, if not the future of generations to come after me. So my inspiration to work towards achieving these goals is just seeing how people, despite having so many problems in society, are willing to come together and fight for justice for themselves and for others. And especially the youth. Nowadays, if you see, most movements for change are youth-led. So the fact that so many other teenagers and young adults are willing to fight for change, despite with the excess of homework on their heads, is what drives me to help, I think.
I completely agree with you, Priya. Adding on to what she said, for me, one of the important aspects of SDGs is to bring about a change in people's mindset, to make them ponder about the deteriorating environmental and social conditions, to make them aware of the imminent threat if no action is taken. I feel so because it's not possible to achieve such goals just with the help of an organization or a country. It requires the cumulative efforts of all the people who are capable of bringing such a change. Such awareness or thinking is a prerequisite for achieving the SDGs. Bringing about a change does not mean, a change at the national or a global level. It can simply be a small change at micro level.
Hi, Pritika from APSDK. According to me, SDG is a medium through which the world can be a better place to live politically, socially, and economically. With the implementation of the SDGs, there is a guaranteed will will improve. I get inspiration to work for the SDGs by the hope of change it provides. Hope that at some point, all genders will be accepted in the society, the poor will get meals, all children will get education, and people will not stay unemployed. And the list goes on. Thank you.
Right.
Okay. I would just like to give a small. I completely agree with what Sparsh said here. That yes, it is. We have to start at a very small level, and then we can increase it. It is not a organization's duty or a country's duty or some kind of initial effort we require. It actually requires it from inside. So as an educator, I feel, and even we teach this to our students in the school, that you have to take the initiative at your end, and then definitely the action will multiply, and then we can spread the awareness all around. So that's what I feel about, and that will definitely make a huge difference when everybody will actually do their duty.
I think that's a very interesting takeaway, and great to see how inspired you all are to act on the SDGs. Of course, a lot of it has to do with education and the commitment of the educator in it. So, Harleen ma'am, thank you also for sharing your views on this. Coming to the next question, which SDGs matter the most to you? And you could maybe connect it with some of the major issues you feel are confronting societies today, especially during the COVID-19 phase.
According to me, SDG 13, that is climate action, is the most important SDG. The climate crisis continues, bringing with it massive wildfires, hurricanes, droughts, and floods affecting more than 39 million people around the globe. If the crisis continues, then the average global temperatures would increase beyond 3 degrees Celsius, threatening life on this planet. COVID-19 pandemic has shown the mankind that it needs to reimagine the world and change its course. Otherwise, destruction would be inevitable. The pandemic has pressed the reset button of nature. Now it is upon us that while returning to the new normal and racing to grow our economies, we give our environment the first priority, or else the change would be temporary. We must significantly reduce carbon emissions at least 7.6% each year, and the only way to do so is to shift to renewable resources of energy. Each one of us should realize how grim the climate situation is and do our bit towards the environment so that we can provide life to generations ahead of us.
For me, the SDG 3, that is ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being for all, is the most relevant SDG, especially during the current pandemic the society has been confronted with. The SDG 3 needs to stand the test of pillars of public health, that is accessibility, affordability, and availability.
For me, the most important SDG is SDG 17, that is partnership for the goals. Because if the nations do not work together to bring about a change, the achievement of all the other goals will become difficult. Because the major power from from bringing about a change from the micro to a macro level is with the governments of all the nations. Secondly, the SDG 4, that is quality education, is the next most important goal, as education is key to awareness and also helps in formulating opinions and solutions for goals.
Okay, so carrying on, I completely agree with Pritika with regard to quality education, that is SDG 4. For me, the two most important SDGs are SDG 4, that is quality education.
Sparsh, I believe there is a connectivity issue.
And SDG 3, that is good health and well-being. Personal experience, and as to pandemic, my grade. Now, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Sparsh.
Okay, sure. Sorry. So now for me, SDG 4 and SDG 3 matter the most. I will give you a brief insight as to why. My great grandmother and great grandfather, they live alone. So what happened was that my great grandfather had contracted the coronavirus, and he had to be admitted to the hospital, and unfortunately he died. May his soul rest in peace. So yes, and my great grandmother had also contracted the virus. Now it was a very unfortunate situation. All my great grandmother's children, they live here in Delhi only, in the vicinity, but none of us could visit her at such a point of time. And we had tried like everything. We have made all the approaches and everything, but we were not able to get her to a hospital. By the time we got to know about it, the ambulance came to pick her up 4 days after we had tried relentlessly of contacting the health authorities that come and check her up when we got to know that my great grandfather had contracted the virus. So
Right.
that's a personal experience, and I feel that if I talk in particular about our country, and not just our country, in fact all the countries in these times of pandemic, they are facing such a crisis with respect to health and well-being of the people. And when it comes to quality education, like we all know, in our country, there is a great divide between the people who have access to such facilities, online classes and all. Not all
very important, as mentioned by Sparsh and Pritika before. So, a major issue that the world faces right now is unjustified distribution of resources and a lot of competition among people. It's like everyone's participating in a huge rat race. So, It's very important to keep a regular check on a nation's population for the physical and emotional well-being of its citizens. If a well-moderated young generation is raised, only then can the world progress into becoming a sustainable and peaceful world.
Right. Who would like to go next?
I think I'll speak. I think I agree
Yeah.
with Rohan and Sparsh. And I mean, even Pritika, when she talks about education being a very important SDG, because if you see all SDG, all sustainable development goals at one point, are, if even in the tiniest way possible, will be benefited if SDG of education is achieved. If poverty levels go down if you have education, employment opportunities increase if you have education, and think hunger problems get solved if you have education. So all things like that, even gender equality, violence, everything is it. The root cause, I would like to believe, is education. And again, agreeing with Rohan and Sparsh when they talk about climate crisis, that is a huge thing. And like he said, it's given us a moment to reset the clock. I mean, if not completely, then at least partially. And then I think this is the time that I think if you look at coronavirus as if you look at the more positive side of it, it's given us time to start figuring out ways in which we reduce maybe our carbon footprint in the post-COVID way of life and things like that. So this is a very good time for government institutions across the world to come up with a more sustainable way of life after the coronavirus is hopefully gone soon.
Right. So it's interesting to see the different SDGs that you have spoken about. Of course, climate action, education, health, gender. They're also connected with peace, and peace and justice. And hence, I mean, it's great to see the kind of, the SDGs that are closest to your heart. Uh, Miss Harleen, from the school's perspective, as an educator, how has the journey on the SDGs been for the Army Public School Dhaula Kuan? Can you share some initiative that the school has undertaken to address the SDGs, or promote a culture of action among young people on the SDGs?
Right, but actually, yes, I would like to talk about a lot of initiatives which our school has taken, and that goes undoubtedly that obviously without our students it's not possible. These are the deriving forces of our school who are actually like putting every dream of us into practicality or reality. So to name a few, as we were just what the previous discussion which we were having, the SDG wise, you were going on it. So if I talk about SDG wise and all the goals which we have, we are actually, most of the goals which are there, we are actually following that, or we are actually practicing that. First of all, I would like to talk about our NSS club. We work 200 hours a year, where we actually donate food to the hungry people or children who are there on street, and all that food is cooked in our school lab, and then it is distributed on the street and in a very hygienic and a clean manner, right? And all these initiatives are done by our students, their home science student, their club, and then we donate books, all those children who are not able to afford the expensive books, and all these children every year, I think we give this circular by default, it goes to all the children that you have to pack your entire stuff and then keep it in the school reception, and then eventually we give it to different orphanages, or we give it to people who are actually in need of it. Then third thing which I would like to highlight here is that we are having a green drive in our school. Our school is the most green school in the entire NCT, and that is the major reason we are not even using air conditioners in our schools, because we are strictly against that. We every 3 months or 6 months we have this green drive in our school, where we plant trees, and students are allocated those trees, and then they take care of their trees just like their babies, and they're so enthusiastic in all this process. And then I would also like to highlight a very, very important thing, that we have started a Girl Up Club in our school to sensitize uh, children, and that club name is Girl Up, but it is not only for girls. I would say a lot of boys have come up and come in front, and they've taken a lot of initiatives, and they have done a lot for that club to sensitize boys and girls both towards the gender equality. We had TED Talk, we have had wiki stage events in our school, and we've called transgenders to hold that particular talk so that people have that kind of sensitivity towards them. And we've initiated talks from army personals also, who can inspire, as we belong to that fraternity, and we have a lot of inspirations from them also. So they come on with the talks of different topics on all these events. And one last thing I would like to highlight here is that though there are a lot of initiatives, but we have our own paper recycling club in our school, where we recycle the paper, and that paper is used for our later thing. And we have a rainwater harvesting project going on. Then we have solar panels. We do not use electricity, we have our own solar panel system. So all these small initiative as a school we are taking, and we inculcate these values in our students also, so that when they go out of the school, or when they step out of this particular gate, they are the brand ambassadors of Army Public School, and they are the brand ambassadors of sustainable development, right? And that's why I feel that these are the formative years, and if we guide them on all this, they will actually carry it on for throughout their life, and then they will spread it around wherever they go, whichever country they go. They will always be a person who will be full of value, who will be full of ideas, and who will be actually sensitive towards society. So these are the small initiatives which we have taken, and I am sure that we will be doing that for our future generation also, and keep on teaching our children and spreading this awareness around.
Thank you very much. I think that's very interesting because of course, the initiatives cover a wide range of the SDGs, which is remarkable. And during our collaboration on the Lockdown Learners Initiative, we also found there was tremendous interest on SDG 16, SDG 5, SDG 4 also, because, linking up education with peace and all. And I know that I think Priya has, of course, come up with a blog during that, she came up with a blog during that time. And so did the other students. I mean, they had a lot of actions that they had initiated. Priya, would you like to talk about it? Would you like to give a brief?
Yeah, I would. So I think from our initial conversation with you when there were, I think, around 100 kids during that time, I think you gave us 3 steps of action that we could take. And one of them was taking active action as a way of creating a website or something technologically related. And so that kind of stuck with me. And so afterwards, after the meeting was over, I collected a few of my friends who were also part of it. And I asked them, maybe we should do something about this. And so then I contacted you, and you helped us you helped us tremendously in that. And so we created this space where people could, especially the youth, could send in their ideas talking about things that are, pandemic related, but not the health aspect of it. More the social and the migrant crisis, or how about the racial hate crimes and things like that. And so eventually it did start out as a blog, but then we realized that spreading awareness at this point of time, I agree that spreading awareness is the first step towards taking active action, but at the same time, spreading awareness alone is not enough. So I think we decided, we turned it around and we made what we call perspectives into a non-profit organization. And then we worked with different organizations like the Robin Hood Army to serve. I think we served about 100 families with dry ration during the pandemic. And we're working with the Art of Living for help carrying out tree plantation drives and various things like that we're actively doing. And there's so much support that we've gotten from Army Public School Dhaula Kuan as well. And so a huge thank you to all the teachers there also. And a huge thank you to you, Samarth. It's all started because of you.
No, thank you so much. It's good because it was a youth-driven initiative, and the idea was to have young people like you contribute in this very historic time, for social well-being. Would any others like to share any initiatives that you have been a part of or spearheaded or would like to do in the future?
I like what Priya said about the previous UNODC meeting we had. We planned to start a website. So we actually did start a website named CHETNA in collaboration with the UNODC. And I have been an active member of that, and I've been posting blogs and write-ups for people to realize what the actual truth behind some stories is, because we get so influenced by the social media and the media that we forget about what the actual truth is. So I've been living up to the expectation that people have to know the truth. And so with the website, I've collaborated with the Global Peace Institute in London, and we had a world tour in July, and we did 100 countries, and we started to spread awareness about how to tackle some situations, and we picked up our own topics which were really close to our hearts. For me, it was discrimination like caste, creed, religion, racial, especially racial because of George Floyd and Jacob Blake nowadays, and sexual violence and everything. And we spread information, and the truth like is beyond what we hear and listen and speak or see. And it was a wonderful experience, and it was a global experience, so I guess that's what I would like to say.
Right. Pritika, thank you for sharing that. Actually, we would also, through this platform, like to tell our viewers to go and check out this Chetna blog that the students have started. A very good thing about it is, of course, they cover a lot of different SDGs, but they look at some very emerging social risks. For example, misinformation and disinformation, like Pritika mentioned, or even issues like discrimination of all kinds, gender issues. So these are all very important issues that I feel other young people as well as educators and our viewers would be interested to know more about. So if Pritika or Priya, if you would like to just very quickly give the address of your blog, that will be good for our viewers.
The website is basically called www.perspectivesyouth.com. I can type it out for you if you want.
No, that's fine. www.perspectives.com. And
I'll send it in the chat group. Yeah.
Right. Great. So this is wonderful.
Okay. So speaking of the initiatives being taken, I have been a part of, along with, some of my schoolmates, in sending audio notes to the students of class 9 and 10 who do not have access to good internet facilities during these COVID times, in collaboration with the UNODC. Another thing, about which it struck my mind once when the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan had been launched, that is around 5 years back. I was quite young. I was in class 7 or 8, 6 or 7, I guess. Now, if I wanted to be a part of something, if I wanted to contribute in that aspect, I could not be a part of, huge movements that were being taken, the huge cleanliness drives that were being taken. So what I thought was that why not, I pick up the trash which is there on the road, like a piece of, an ice cream wrapper or a wrapper of chips, one packet each day won't take much of my time, and it won't be it will be effortless. It's a good solution. It can create cleanliness in the vicinity, and if not all, but even if some people do it, it will have a huge impact. It will bring about huge changes, because it's not just stopping littering. It is about, to cover up, what bad has been done, what all littering has been done. So I feel that's a good solution. And then moving on, we as youngsters get influenced by what we see or read about. I used to get so much motivated, when I used to see people coming upon KBC Karambir episode. There used to be KBC Karambir episode on which, many environmentalists or people who used to work for the social causes used to come, and the story used to be told. And I used to get so motivated by their stories. I myself felt, that something for the social cause or the environmental causes should be done. So I felt that why not, just be a part of it? Why not do something for it? We all have heard the name of Greta Thunberg, the Swedish activist. But हम में से बहुत कम लोग हैं जिनको मीरा मेहता या फ्रेया ठकराल के बारे में पता है. Freya Thakral and Meera Mehta have won the UK's Diana Award for their humanitarian contribution or social work. It's an award which is given by the UK government for for the people who have done something for the humanitarian work that were earlier a part of the UK's hegemony. So when we get to know about such people, when we get to know what they have done and how they did it, we get motivated ourselves, and I feel that is half work done. Making such information available through a platform might motivate us, the youth, in doing social or humanitarian work as well. The creation of an app which will contain information about various environmentalists. I'm not talking about people who are already very famous. I'm talking about the ones who have taken small steps and who are contributing in some way and about whom we don't get to know so often. I, by chance, got to know about Meera Mehta and Freya Thakral. So, the creation of an app which will contain information about these environmentalists or social workers or unsung heroes might motivate us, the younger generation, to do some work for the social cause as well. Thank you.
That's an interesting idea, Sparsh. In fact, what you could actually also look at is just compiling good practices that are happening on certain issues. And I mean, this is an idea for you as well as the bloggers here. But even compiling good practices that are happening on each of the SDGs, to combat poverty, what are the good things, small steps that are being taken, ideas that you can give to other young people, like you. For example, like Sparsh was saying that he just started picking up litter from nearby areas or wherever he lived. I mean, those are small actions that can inspire. So, of course, people inspire you, but also little actions inspire you.
I just want to add a
Yes.
bit here, Spartak. Actually,
Yes.
just few things. Just like NSS, we have a NCC club also in our school, and they are basically the girls and the boys together who go on for the cleanliness drive. As we talk about the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and that cleanliness drive is there in the entire cantonment area, in our school and nearby areas. That we keep on conducting, and we keep on involving our students on that. And since I take history and all, and so our department of social science also, we take students for historical walks to different monuments, and we actually teach them for monument restoration and keeping the areas clean, because see, these are the heritage sites which are very important. If I see any foreigner coming onto that site, I feel really bad when they see all the litter around in that area, because that's not what our country is. We have a very rich heritage and culture. So we keep on initiating these events, or you can say we keep on making efforts in these areas where we do all these things, and we actually practice Swachh Bharat Abhiyan in our school. So this is a small point which I just wanted to add after the conversation we had with Sparsh. So that's my point.
Sure. Definitely. Okay.
Yeah, so during this pandemic, the most vulnerable group of people are the elderly, because especially those who are away from their families. And so I really wanted to do something for them. So I have worked with NGOs and organizations who are doing something in order to protect the grandparents. And I have talked to them, we have called them, and we have asked if they needed any help, if they were facing any issues, and we have had genuine good conversations, and they feel so good when somebody calls them, because their kids are very busy with their lives, they have their jobs, and they don't realize that they're neglecting their parents. And when somebody calls them and when somebody talks to them very well and just asks if they need something, that really makes their day. And that is why I worked with organizations. And also, once this COVID situation is over, or maybe becomes better, one thing I would also like to do is teach the primary kids, primary school kids who do not have that many facilities that we do. And I would actually want to go and teach them. And once this COVID situation is over, because they need our help. they actually need our help, and whatever we are getting, everybody does not get that. And we are really privileged to have something like this, that we are here. And I would actually ask all of our viewers to actually go and do something for any of their kids that are from the less privileged section of society.
Sakshi, I think that's a very good point you have taken, actually looking at mental health in a way, and talking to others, reaching out to elderly. Elderly, of course, are quite, vulnerable right now during the COVID-19 situation. A similar thing you could also look at, maybe a virtual network of young people with other young people who are undergoing a lot of anxieties and issues. So I think a virtual network of support, if you can set up with your friends or on your own initiative, it will be a lovely thing to do. And we really appreciate you, taking, all of you actually, for thinking about helping other people, from whichever backgrounds they are from. And we stand with you in this quest. Of course, your school is standing with you, but UNODC also stands with you to support your efforts in any such way. Anyone else?
Yes,
Yeah, I would
actually,
just, 1 second, I would like to add a point here is that as a school also, we keep on conducting these mental health sessions for our students as initiated by our principal ma'am, Komal ma'am. She actually takes initiative for all this, and she keeps on guiding and telling us, all the teachers, all the faculty, that it's पढ़ाई सब कर लेंगे. It's very simple. You just have a chat with the child in this pressure situation. Like she said, that parents are busy at times, children are busy. So if parent is out for, and in the army fraternity where we are, the fathers are like overcommitted. So there is a situation where child is feeling little lonely or scared, or there can be any problem. So as a teacher, she always guided us that I know you people will complete the syllabus. I know you people will teach them, but please talk to them. Make sure everybody at their home is fine. Make sure everybody is in a good mental peace. Don't teach them if they're not in a good state. Just be friends with them. So these kind of small initiatives we keep on taking, so that mental health of our students is also balanced. And that's what I want to tell. And that's all initiative taken by a principal ma'am.
Right. Thank you.
Actually, even me and my friends took a small initiative a few months back, since the mental health issue came into major highlight. So what we did was, we've got this website called omegle.com, which is basically sort of an anonymous chat section for people. So usually a lot of times happens that people who are actually exposed to having anxiety or are having suicidal thoughts, they end up into having conversations with random people over there. And me and my friends started, whenever we were free, we started actually using those tags to find out people who are actually suffering, and we started talking to them and tried our best to make them feel less lonely. And we are proud to announce that we've been friends with around 50 to 60 more people who have been at a very worst stage, but now they are somewhat doing better maybe, but we a regular check on them, and that's somewhat we've been doing.
That's very impressive.
I would
That's
just
truly
like to
very.
add on to that. So,
Yes.
like in our country, due to extreme weather conditions, millions of tons of harvest are destroyed. So, I'm working on a project which generates electricity using fruits and vegetables through an electrochemical cell, as we know. So, by this, the farmer gets an alternate source of income, and we reduce the carbon footprints by shifting to renewable sources of energy. So, talking about the solutions, I think information and awareness are the best ways to protect SDGs around the world. This empowers and makes people aware of their duties towards SDGs. Once this happens, any challenge can be dealt with ease.
Fantastic. I think that's a very comprehensive overview on the different initiatives that you guys are doing at the Army Public School, Dhaula Kuan, as well as on your own. I mean, of course, inspired by your educators and those around you, but very, very good. So, I mean, clearly you have all been a part of so many initiatives. Some of you are also spearheading new initiatives. You have been a part of programs like the Lockdown Learner Series by UNODC. You have engaged actively on different SDGs, on peace, on justice, etc. Um, as youth champions, what kind of future do you want to see as we build back from COVID-19? Um, how do you think youth can contribute to promote peace and bring about a change around them? Basically, the question is, what kind of future do you want to see after COVID-19?
As the youth, we would like to inherit a planet providing safe environment, healthy living, and equal opportunities to all without any discrimination. And youth is the most potent force to bring about a revolution and permanent change towards the recognition of basic human rights, promoting social justice, economic equality, and health and prosperity for all. This change entails proactive participation of youth in shaping the future of our nations and this planet.
If I were to answer this, I would say, political institutions across the world carry a huge amount of power in aspects of whether they lead us towards betterment for the SDGs or towards the worse. So I feel like India is a country with more than 60% of the people being part of the youth. And so voting and voting responsibly is a huge thing that I feel that going forward, and I see in the future that the youth should pay more attention to. So I would just like to add here, this is not a more futuristic aspiration, it's more that I would like to see now. I was preparing for this, I was researching and I found that in countries like Canada and other countries, there's this thing called a student voting program. So what they do is, it's not voting for your school council elections or something like that. In terms of speaking for India, you would say that whenever they used to have a presidential election or whenever we have a general election or a state election, what they do is they teach their kids in school how to research about candidates who are standing from your constituency and how to differentiate between how not to pay attention to the fake news and find out yourself about the candidate, learn more about their stands on political issues and things like that. So I feel like if you're taught that from the ages of 15, 16, 17, by the time we're 18, we're already citizens who are able to vote responsibly. And so we know how to vote and how not to be affected by everything that we see around us. So I feel like that is one thing I would love for more schools in India to take up.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
Yes, I just want to say something. So youth can promote peace by changing their mindset and having tolerance and inclusion for societies different from theirs. So they can exercise their rights of expression, but not be involved in violence. Youth must realize that it is them who have the capacity to change the world, and even a small change in their mindset can help maintaining global peace.
Can I say? So it's always been easier to accommodate lesser people. I believe the root of all problems in the world is the huge population and the lack of keeping a check on it. It results in lesser opportunities and a huge competition to make a stand in the world. A lot of psychological and moral values are being missed out, and everyone's becoming a huge part of the rat race. Now, I believe this to be a possible solution in support of several SDGs. So I believe in creation of a universal law of keeping a check on a country's population. Now, there are a few basic things to keep in check. We need to have tough laws leading to examinations of to-be parents, where they need to qualify 4 factors. First is health. Only a healthy section of the population shall be privileged to have children. Second is wealth. People from BPLs often end up making the kids a source of income for the family. Also, a certain amount of fortune must be present in the bank account of to-be parents with a stable job to facilitate all kinds of opportunities for the kids. Third is criminal records. This will bring down crime rates as well, since the price is quite high for committing serious crimes, that is not having children. And the last, psychological courses for parents for helping their children to have a great peace of mind and a healthy upbringing. Since we are doing this for the future generations, this will bring up a healthy and prosperous population for future generations. And we'll have a sustainable future for the future generations and expenditure of resources on the deserving and a hearty society.
High levels of armed conflicts and insecurity have a destructive impact on a country's development and indigenous population, affecting social, political, economical, and biological growth, resulting in long-standing grievances. The threats of international homicide, violence against children, human trafficking, discrimination in all its forms, and violence are important to address to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Climate is also another major issue to be addressed in the modern world today, especially after during the COVID-19. We need to make sure that since there's a lockdown, people are not allowed to move, the threats or the deterioration in the environment is controlled. But even after all this, even if the coronavirus ends, we should not forget it that we have to still be the same and control everything and not keep on destroying or keep exploiting like we used to. And secondly, our humanity, which is being lost to an extent which is unimaginable even in the 21st century, is supposed to, we are now being compared to those hungry beasts or animals which are there on the stray, and it's really sad seeing that what we do is like still acceptable in today's world. And the last I would like to say is that this can be done by working together as responsible citizens and by also bringing together all the nations for a better tomorrow.
Right. Anyone else? Or
Yeah, actually, I may not be the part of youth, but I would like to definitely add on few points that after pandemic, definitely the idea of peace and humanity prevails. That is most important. And I feel that now the youth needs to be turned or channelized into a different direction. We need to actually, as an educator or as a teacher, I feel that the power of critical thinking has to be now enhanced. Students need to actually think what they are doing. We can't just tell them we can't tell them to be road learners, or we can't just tell them that this is their upper low. No, we need to actually sit and review and see that we can actually incorporate them in the change what we actually see. So I personally feel that critical thinking and taking the children along in the education system is the change which I feel as a teacher I can do it after the pandemic. And I'm sure our students have undergone a lot of trauma, a lot of stress, exams, studies, online coaching, online studying. So give them a little soothing break once they come back to school, so that they feel that yes, now there is some hand holding where I can talk to a person who is listening to me and understanding what I've gone through this entire time. So I feel all these certain changes would be required, or would be actually, I think everybody will do that once we open the schools and once we are back in the system. All the teachers will definitely do that, and I'm sure they will change the way we were actually teaching, and now things will be different. We need to make them more prepared. I feel ये जो pandemic situation which has happened, we need to make our youth more prepared for it and more sensitive, so that it never happens again. That's what my only takeaway here is.
right. Right. So thank you so much for your insights. I think this was really a very, very interesting and fantastic discussion. Let me conclude by saying that to build back better from COVID-19, we need a renewed commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals. We must remember that this is the decade of action, and 2030 is just 10 years away. So we must integrate our efforts and join hands for the SDGs. And for this, we need the three Ys: youth engagement, youth commitment, and youth action. And this is something that the Army Public School Dhaula Kuan is doing, and the students have been doing there, the educators are doing this. And from UNODC's side, we would like to strengthen our engagement further. Of course, there are a lot of programs that we can come up with, especially based on what we discussed today. And we look forward to strengthening our collaboration. I also thank, on behalf of UNODC, the Army Public School Dhaula Kuan again, Principal Ms. Komal Sood, without whose support this would not be possible, Ms. Rosy Soni, for all her help in putting this all together, and Ms. Harleen Kaur for her support. Please do like and share this video with your friends and loved ones. And most importantly, stay safe and take care. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure working with you, sir, as well as the UNODC. We look forward to work with you for times to come. The initiative taken by the UNODC in these COVID times has motivated us to work even more towards the SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes.